Hello, and welcome to 10 for 10, 10th News, your weekly dose of 10th Amendment news in 10 minutes or so from us here at the 10th Amendment Center. Today is April 22nd, 2013. My name is Michael Bolden. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we'll learn about nullification bills moving forward in Alaska, Florida, Missouri, Illinois, and elsewhere, plus a special message from the 10th Amendment Center's Benjamin Gross on the tragedy in Boston. But first, this week's episode is made possible in part by the 10th Amendment Center membership program. Proudly wear the 10ther label with pride and become a card-carrying member of us here at the 10th Amendment Center. Your membership support every single month helps us continue the pressure. It helps us cover our base expenses and helps us reach new people through advertising and direct outreach. Get all the details and join us today at members.10thamendmentcenter.com. Again, that's members.10thamendmentcenter.com. And now the news. In Alaska, a bill to nullify the Real ID Act of 2005 is sitting on Governor Parnell's desk. HB 69 expands on legislation passed in 2008 to ensure that, quote, a state or municipal agency may not use or authorize the use of an asset to implement or aid in the implementation of the Real ID Act. In other words, since the unconstitutional federal law requires the states to carry it out, it won't be happening in the state of Alaska. In Florida, a rare victory for supporters of liberty. Senate Bill 92 has passed both the State House and Senate unanimously and is being sent to Governor Rick Scott for a signature. If Scott signs the bill into law, SB 92 would prohibit any law enforcement agency from using unmanned drones to gather evidence or other information without a warrant. The bill opens the door for any person whose privacy is violated by a drone to take civil action and would also make any evidence gathered in violation of the act inadmissible in court. Read more about this legislation and the arguments both in favor and against it at 10thamendmentcenter.com/Florida SB 92. Again, that's 10thamendmentcenter.com/Florida SB 92. The Illinois State House passed a similar bill to nullify warrantless drone spying by a vote of 52-1 last Thursday. Sponsoring Senator Daniel Biss told colleagues that the people of Illinois have a reasonable expectation for privacy. He continued, quote, the technology available to law enforcement agencies is evolving rapidly. I want Illinois to take a proactive approach, recognizing that drones can make police work more efficient and keep officers out of harm's way, but also acknowledging the potential threat they pose to individual liberties, end quote. The day prior, the Illinois House also voted to nullify unconstitutional federal laws on marijuana. In a highly partisan, divided vote, House Bill 1 was passed and sent along to the state Senate for concurrence. The final tally was 61-57. Over in Missouri, the State House passed House Bill 436, that's HB 436, by a strong veto-proof majority. By a vote of 115-42, they approved legislation which would effectively nullify virtually every federal gun control measure. It reads in part, quote, all federal acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations, whether past, present, or future, which infringe on the people's right to keep and bear arms, as guaranteed by the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution, and Article 1, Section 23 of the Missouri Constitution, shall be invalid in this state, shall not be recognized by this state, shall be specifically rejected by this state, and shall be considered null and void, and of no effect in this state, end quote. HB 436 now moves to the state Senate in Missouri, where passage is quite likely. The tough battle, though, for supporters is to ensure that it receives a veto-proof majority there as well. Governor Nixon will never sign such a bill. So get details on what you can do to support the legislation over at 10thamendmentcenter.com/Missouri HB 436. Again, that's 10thamendmentcenter.com/Missouri HB 436. And in Louisiana, a bill that seeks to nullify unconstitutional federal gun control measures on semi-automatic weapons, accessories, and ammunition, including registration, was passed out of committee last week in a very tight vote. The tally was 8-6. House Bill 5 now moves to the full Louisiana State House, where it will get a third reading and final vote on Tuesday, April 23rd. 10th Amendment Center National Communications Director Mike Meharry expressed his support for the legislation. He said, quote, "This is a great first step. People in Louisiana don't want D.C. messing with their guns. The feds think they can pretty much regulate anything and everything, and this simply isn't true when you understand the intent of the Constitution." End quote. Here on the West Coast, it's round 2 in the battle between California and NDAA indefinite detention. Back on April 9th, the California Assembly Public Safety Committee voted unanimously in favor of Assembly Bill 351. That's the California Liberty Preservation Act. The bill has now been assigned to the Assembly Committee on Appropriations, where it will have a hearing and vote, which is scheduled for May 1st, 2013. Introduced by Republican Assemblymember Tim Donnelly, AB 351 is a strong stand against indefinite detention, as supposedly authorized by the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012. It declares such federal power to be unconstitutional and also requires the entire state to refuse to enforce or assist its implementation. A broad coalition across the political spectrum officially supported the legislation and helped move the normally partisan and strongly Democratic committee in the Assembly to support the Republican-introduced legislation. The State Assembly Appropriations Committee is going to be another tough path, maybe even tougher than in the Public Safety Committee, but an endless stream of strong but respectful phone calls we hear from insiders to committee members in favor of the bill is likely to give AB 351 a chance of passing. California residents are encouraged to get involved to support this bill right now. Get all the details on what you can do today at 10thamendmentcenter.com/support AB 351. Again, that's 10thamendmentcenter.com/support AB 351. And in closing, here at the 10th Amendment Center, our thoughts go out to the victims of the criminal acts in Boston and to all those who were frozen in fear due to the response that ensued. Benjamin Gross, legal coordinator for the Pennsylvania chapter of the 10th Amendment Center, completed his 4th Boston Marathon and was literally just blocks away when the explosions went off. We are extremely grateful that Benjamin made it out safely. Over the weekend, he put together his thoughts on the situation with a short article. He said, quote, "I believe in justice served and do not lament the ultimate fates of the men who terrorized the 117th Boston Marathon. But a constitution that is so easily torn asunder in moments of popular angst will be impotent in protecting the liberty that very long ago made our nation unique." Please take a moment to read the rest of the article over at 10thamendmentcenter.com/Boston. Again, that's 10thamendmentcenter.com/Boston. And that covers our report here today on 10 for 10, 10ther News. Get 10 minutes or so of 10th Amendment news every single week from us here at the 10th Amendment Center. Watch 10ther News every week on youtube.com/10th Amendment Center. View archive shows at news.10thamendmentcenter.com. My name is Michael Bolden. Thanks again for tuning in.